Managed portfolios are continuing to attract investor favour for the transparency, simplicity and accessibility they provide. Joining me today to discuss trends in this space and the recent advent of international managed portfolios is Hub24's Managing Director, Andrew Alcock. Welcome, Andrew.
Thanks, Liz. Great to be here.
Great. So, Andrew, what are managed portfolios?
Managed portfolios are a professionally managed portfolio, if you like, or grouping of underlying assets, which might involve direct equities or stocks or ETFs or managed funds or other types of assets that are pulled together into a portfolio managed by a professional manager that provide, I suppose, the benefits of transparency, direct ownership for the investor of those particular underlying assets, and the tax benefits of being able to manage your own parcels of assets in a way that's quite different to a traditional managed fund structure. And also in many cases have cost advantages. In our case, a managed portfolio can actually be a portfolio across multiple sectors, asset classes, across a range, a blended portfolio, if you like, across a risk profile, digging into different sectors with all underlying assets beneath it that are directly owned by the investor. So in some cases even nested portfolios with two layers to allow you to have the building blocks to build a range of portfolios that suit the different needs of clients.
Okay, and how do they differ from other investment products?
Sure, look, it's different. The main benefit of managed portfolio is being assets held independently for an individual investor. It means that they are able to get the benefits of managing tax parcels in a way that provides, in some cases, really outstanding differences to a traditional structure. So a managed fund, for example, is about having a fund manager look after the investment decisions for a consumer, but it's all tied up in one legal structure or a managed fund, which means all the investors in that fund share the consequences of tax parcels and investing and buy prices and sell prices and so forth. Whereas a managed portfolio handles that directly for an individual consumer. So it allows the consumer to actually get some great benefits. They get to see what they own, as opposed to just, I've got units in a fund. They can see some of the underlying stocks. They get to participate more actively in the portfolio, and they get some great taxation benefits, as I said earlier.
Okay, so I understand Hub24 has recently launched some international managed portfolios. Can you explain a bit around the decision behind this?
Sure. Actually, it's surprising to me that the Australian marketplace hasn't adopted this kind of approach more holistically in the past. So if you think about some of the statistics, an SMSF fund, or the average SMSF fund, according to the ATO, has probably 33% exposure to Australian equities and 1% to international equities. And when you think about the Australian marketplace being quite concentrated on resources or financial services, in some cases it's very difficult to get real diversification and exposure to some industries that can provide value, i.e. healthcare or semiconductors or something like that. So investing overseas makes sense to get diversified and good exposure to those kind of sectors and industries. However, in Australia, we don't do it as often as we would. Similarly, managed funds, like the 70-30 type balanced managed fund, more and more increasingly fund managers are getting higher exposure to international assets. Whereas traditionally in the past, there would far be a heavier weighting to Australian equities rather than international exposure. So we're Australia. We make up a small percentage of the world's economy, yet we tend to invest in our own backyard, which is great for our country. But getting real diversified exposure to international markets is going to provide value and returns for investors and risk-managed solutions.
And why should investors consider a managed portfolio to invest overseas?
Oh, I think the benefits are similar to the benefits we espouse for Australian managed portfolios. You get to see the assets you own. You might own Google or Nestle or Apple. You get to participate in multiple exchanges around the world, so it might be 15 to 20 countries where you can get access to stocks that traditionally you would need to actually use a specialist managed fund or an ETF to gain that access. But in the managed portfolio space, you get that direct control, you get that direct tax parcel treatment, so you can choose which parcels to buy and sell based on your own individual tax consequences, and you can get the transparency and some fee differential or some cost benefits as well.
How have they been received so far by advisors and investors?
It's early days. We're delighted with the take-up and the excitement so far. So we've actually got a range of managers coming on. So in the next few weeks we'll have probably 6 managers on. It's early days. We launched in December. There is a lot of interest and excitement. We get to see great traction in the space, but we think this is a pioneering step. Okay. There is excitement out there. Fund managers themselves and managers are quite keen to talk to us about getting onto our portfolio to provide a solution for investors. We're seeing quite a lot of demand from some of our current white label clients and customers who would like to set up international portfolios. So I think it makes sense. There's demand. People are saying at last there's a solution here that's going to be easy to use, that achieves the outcome without the need to use managed funds and ETFs, but you can use a portfolio to achieve great outcomes.
And what strategies are you looking to employ to educate the market on these new portfolios?
Look, that's a great question for our entire industry. We do quite a bit. We've got some white papers out, some case studies on the tax advantages of individual portfolios and how you can see the difference that having your own tax parcels makes in an equity portfolio. We do industry events, seminars and so forth. We also do group advisor sessions with our key business partners and individual sessions, and we'll keep doing more of that. So I think there's a lot to be done in the space. The market is actually now understanding managed portfolios or managed accounts far better. The international space will be an extension of that, so it's a matter of expanding on that. And I think one of the things the industry, and we want to work with the industry on, is getting research across managed portfolios as well, because typically this country was served by research houses that allow licensees to build an approved product list with managed funds. There's not much research on managed portfolios. In many cases they're the same managers or different professional managers, but it's about getting research on those products done as well, which will help the industry in the uptake.
And what's next for Hub24?
A bit more of the same in terms of we intend to keep building out our leading edge platform with great navigation and great access tools for advisors. So we'll keep enhancing that. We're also working on personalising managed portfolios and allowing advisors and clients to customise them to suit their own particular needs, which will create even greater flexibility and control. And we're also very much focused on our growth. It looks like this year we'll double in size again, like we did last year. So we're very focused on making sure that our clients get exceptional service as we grow, and that's what we're delivering at the moment. So it's a big year ahead for us.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining me, Andrew.
Thank you, Liz. It's a pleasure.